Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of BIM After Dark Live. My name is Jeff, also known as the Revit Kid. I want to thank you guys for joining me so much. Today's episode is going to be special. It is the last live episode of 2020. I believe it's episode 38, which is pretty sweet. And we're going to do Ask Me Anything. For those of you who maybe aren't familiar with that format, it's exactly what it sounds like. Ask me anything. So ideally, let's keep it around, the idea of Revit and BIM, but, I'll be filtering through the chat and the questions here and answering what I can, what I want to, because I have that power. But today is the day to ask any question you want and hopefully get it answered. As you can see, I'm wearing this hat, which I'm probably going to take off soon because it is extremely hot. But that is because obviously the holidays are around the corner, and I am going to do some giveaways, which I don't always do. So we're going to see how this pans out. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for tuning in the last 38 episodes. This show started back in March, and I have to say I never in a million years thought that I would be doing this at a regular basis, and sort of this would be part of my portfolio of what I do. But I have to say it's you guys join me here live and watching it later on that keep me going and keep me doing this. So I want to sincerely thank you because it really is a great community that we have here, and you guys are part of it as well as keeping me driving forward. So with all that being said, before we jump into the content, as you may or may not know, this episode is sponsored by a great partner of mine, BIM Box. And so let me just roll the clip and talk a little bit about BIM Box before we jump into the episode. So there we have it, BIM Box. If you guys are not familiar with what BIM Box is a computer manufacturer. By computer manufacturer, I'm not thinking like Dell or HP. These guys are making phenomenal PCs, laptops and desktops that are built specifically for Revit. Okay, and I'm not joking when I say that. They are literally designed, built, optimized, modified, and redesigned in order to improve your performance using Revit. So there are a couple different laptops and desktops in their line. If I head on over to my camera here, the one behind me, covered in Christmas lighting currently, that is the Striker 2. That is the desktop that is designed, built, and optimized for Revit. I actually just downloaded a model today from an architect that we're working with. The architecture model alone is 3.25 gigs. MEP was just under a gig, I think, which is kind of weird when you think about it, but it's early on still. And then there's a few more AV lighting, et cetera, et cetera. All in total, we're talking almost 5 gigs worth of Revit models for this huge fit out core shell project that we're doing. I could tell you from experience that that model would chug pretty bad on a laptop that I have. Meanwhile, the BIM Box spins it around like it's nothing, like it's a house. So thank you, BIM Box, for partnering the show. For those of you interested, head on over to bimbox.bimafterdark.com to find out more, or email sales@bimboxusa.com. Let Buck and his team know that Jeff sent you. They'll be hooking you up. They've got a couple year-end sales, which I forgot to put up here for you guys. So let me let me put this up here. Right now they're doing $800 off that desktop right behind me, which is phenomenal. $1,400 off the Osprey desktop, which is built and designed for registering scans, laser scans, and stuff like that. And then $150 off laptops. But either way, email Buck and his crew. They'll hook you up. They've got a great 3-year warranty, awesome sales crew, and they deliver any size order in 10 to 14 days. So thank you, BIM Box. It's been a crazy year, and the fact that we've created this partnership after creating a YouTube channel is just blowing my mind. So, as I wanted to mention, this thing is live. So you guys are here hanging out with me live. I was hoping this episode would be a little lighthearted, but obviously we're definitely going to get into some content, because we got to get into some content. So I'm going to check out the chat, but feel free to ask questions. I'm going to try to keep up the best I can, answer what I can and what I want to, and we'll move along from there. So awesome. Jose's here from South America. What's up, dude? Sai is here. Marcel, what's up, man? I know Scourdex is here. You hear my son in the background. If you heard that, I tried to get him to come in here and say hi to you guys, but he's 2 years old now, and he's very particular with what he wants. In the past, he would be so excited to come in here, hang out in my office. Now it's just, if you ask him to do something, he may just say nope, and that's what he did. He said nope. I'll talk to you after. Is basically what he told me. Even though and now he's yelling for me. What a silly boy. Dale, what's up, Dale? CD Brady, awesome. Buck is here from BIMbox. Buck, thanks for joining us, dude. Make sure you guys reach out to Buck. Shamila's here. What's up, Shamila? Connecticut represent, right? So let me run through. Wow, the chat is already going. So what I want to do is maybe I'll take a couple questions. I'll read through, because I don't want to miss all the questions that we've got going on in here, and I'll try and answer a couple right now, and then we'll do a fun little giveaway. We'll do a few more questions, a fun little giveaway, and we're kind of structured like that. So let me roll back a little bit and check out some of the questions we got going on here. Shamila asked about backup files and how they're appearing in the same folder, and it's kind of annoying. Can you automatically have them saved to a different folder? Marcel actually just answered with a suggestion, which is making a central file, and then they'll be stored in the local. That's not a terribly bad suggestion. I'm not a huge fan of using central files and work sharing unless you absolutely 100% need it, mainly because once you introduce work sets, you're just creating a little bit of a different model setup. And so you could do it. That's a great suggestion. Otherwise, not too much else that you can do. You can change so that it's only saving a certain number of backup files. So I mean, I can quickly show that if subscribe to the channel. Hit the wrong button. Make sure you subscribe, guys, and hit the little notification button. One thing that I can show you is when you have a file open. So let's just say I create a new file right here. And again, this is local. This has nothing to do with central files and work sharing, as Marcel was talking about. Let's just add something to it. I'm going to say File, Save As. I'm going to save it as a project, and then I'm going to save it to my desktop for now. Under Options over here, there's a little Options button. If you click there, you can see you only want one backup file. So at least now you're not getting 700 or 30 or 27 or even 4. It's just saving one backup file. And so that's hopefully a little helpful for you guys. If maybe you're not familiar with that, I'll save this one as actually bad live sample file, because just in case we do some cool stuff and I want to save it for later. So awesome. Hey everybody, what's up? Shamila's rocking Connecticut. Yep. All right. Oh, a lot of people on the chat. What's up, everybody? I love this. Awesome. I will say I love this, but it's also very hard to keep up with chat sometimes on here. Best way. Jose asked a question. Best way to produce door, windows, and curtain wall sheets. Well, that could be an entire episode, Jose. Because they're all kind of 3 different things that we're talking about here. So I'm not really sure which one I should pick apart. And everyone kind of has their own ways of doing doors, windows, and curtain walls as far as sheets are concerned. If you're talking about schedules, that's one thing. If you're talking about door elevations, that's another thing. I'm not really sure exactly what you're talking about, but that's a great idea, possibly for literally an entire episode, because I think what you'll find is that I might show a way here, but there's probably about 30 people online right now in this chat that will say they do it this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. So I think maybe what we'll do is we'll shelf that one. I'll use it as a topic for next year, and maybe we'll expand on it, sort of decide maybe one or the 2 of the best ways, best practices, and sort of show those. I will tell you that it's not easy, and they're all different, right? So with doors, You could use legends. You could use detailed drafted views, depending on who I like the idea of legends. You could use a future / standard phase, which Aaron Mahler talks about in his 2 episodes that he came on this year, so that you're actually just using elevations of those objects, those doors and windows. Curtain walls then are a whole nother issue, because curtain walls usually are in place, right? You can't, by the nature of you making a curtain wall elevation means that it's probably a one-off thing and not repeatable to some extent. And so those end up being elevation views that you have to clean up and do all kinds of stuff. So it's a great question, and it's something that I'm going to chalk up for. Let's dig into it. Let's dig into it later. Let's see. Dale, what's up, Dale? Dale's asking a question of BIM 360 design, and I got to be honest with you, Dale. I'm not 100% sure how to do that. You're in Revit 2017, so I don't know if the plugin is limited. I would try and reach out to someone at Autodesk for that. I also I can't even keep up with the BIM 360 packages, honestly, and I use them all the time. So I would reach out. I believe you can publish all, but I don't want to say that without. Yep. Fausto said, thanks BIMbox for sponsoring the show. Yeah, thank you BIMbox. Heck yeah. Watching live from St. Kitts. Hello. Austin, Texas. Steve from Chicago. Sweet. Let's see. Speaking of Chicago, I actually just finished binge watching Shameless for the first time, the American version. And so that's why now when I think of Chicago, it's either Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, or Shameless. or Chicago PD, I guess. But Shameless is actually really good if you guys want to dive into something new. Here we go. Anish, what's up? How you doing? While rendering in Lumion, when you change a material from one element, it changes every other materials because it's default in Revit. So is there a way to change it? So what's happening there, and I don't have Lumion open, so let me open it in the background while we're talking here. All right. So what Anish is asking is, when you're bringing a model into Lumion, you're trying to change the material, and it's changing everything. So the way a Revit file comes into Lumion is it's usually by material, and it's not by the material appearance, it's by the material name. It's the actual material asset. And the material terms are so hard to explain, because there's an appearance asset, there's a physical, there's all that stuff, but it's actually by the name of the material. And so what's happening most likely for you is that all of your objects in Revit that you bring in, not all of them because I'm sure there's different, but most of them, like let's say walls, probably have the same material applied to them. So if you're using a default 8-inch wall and then a default 6-inch wall and then a default 4-inch wall, and you're not modifying the material of that wall, they're all going to come in as the same material in Lumion. So what I'll do is I'll really quickly, I'm trying to talk through this a little bit because Lumion's opening in the background. I accidentally opened 2 versions of it, of course, because that's just what happens when you do things live. And there's also a PowerPoint opening in the background that I started like 20 minutes ago when Marcel, somebody asked a question about a Christmas family type of thing. Let me see here. Okay, close that. All right, so I think Lumion's finally open. Perfect. So let me let's flip over here. So if I quickly go in here, so I'm in Revit and I have these 4 walls, right? If I go in 3D, you can see there's 4 walls. Well, if I place a door in them, right, the door has a different color, etc. But if I go in this wall, if I click this wall here, and I go to Edit Type, and then, this is a generic 8-inch wall, right? So all these generic walls in here, if I go to Edit, guess what? They don't have a material applied. So they get assigned a material when you export called default. So what you need to do is you need to assign a material to this. So I'm going to quickly assign a material. And so let's just say concrete precast. And so notice concrete precast over here, that's the name of my material. It has nothing to do with the appearance. It's all about the graphics here. Or not the graphics. It's all about this material container, so to speak, here. right? So if I want to make a new one, I can say create new, rename it wall material for Lumion 1, right? And I can assign that. Now, when this comes into Lumion, these walls, I'll change these 3 now. I'll change these to a different one. So I'll change them to generic 6-inch. These walls are going to come in as default. This wall is going to come in as its actual material. So what I'll do is I'll quickly export to Lumion. Of course, that goes on the other screen. I apologize. And I'm going to put that on my desktop. I'm going to jump into Lumion. I'm going to do a new plane. You guys are awesome, by the way. So many chats coming in. I'm trying to keep up. I'm going to try my best to keep up, I should say. So now I'm in Lumion here. Let me zoom out. I'm just going to go to import new model. I'm going to select that guy, which is called bad live sample, and click open. I'm just going to toss it in here. There it is. Beautiful. Oh, it's so lovely. Now, if I go to materials, you'll notice, see how this one, if I hover over this, it's called wall material for Lumion 1. If I click this, you notice that it's going to be selecting, let me go up here. It's going to be selecting all of these walls, and they're called default wall. And then if I go down here, I can actually select the panel, because that had its own material, and the panel here. So it has nothing to do with the elements. If you're using Twinmotion, for example, you can actually export using element, the actual families, etc. The actual family structure and categories and all that. But the way Lumion by default brings it in is exactly what I just showed you. It's using the material name. So that's the issue you're running into there. Let's see. So hopefully that was helpful. Anish, thanks for the question, buddy. How to design a coffered ceiling. When I draw the section using sweep command, and I want to join them in Revit. Coffereds are tough. I'm not really sure if that's one of the coffers are one of those situations where it depends on what it is that you're trying to make, honestly. I've seen some successful uses of coffered ceilings by building actual families that fill in the void. So you do a ceiling, and then you build a family that fills in the void, or you build it out using maybe walls on the inside, and then ceiling and ceiling. There's multiple ways to approach. I think it depends on what your coffered is and what you're trying to do, or what the end goal is. What you're talking about there is using sweep. So I'm assuming maybe you're sweeping it around the ceiling. That's probably the last thing I would do, mainly because you're doing an in-place component at that point. As much as possible, you want to try to avoid in place. The other thing is you could use something like a curtain panel family, or a roof curtain panel thing, and actually utilize the grid and make a coffered curtain panel, which now you have a grid system. It's flexible. There's lots of options. I'm just saying, probably the one that I wouldn't try is probably just modeling in place everything, because that would just blow up on you all day long. Yes, Shamila said work sets make make her take anxiety meds. I agree. Like I said, I wouldn't use work sets unless you absolutely had to. Getting Yolande. Hey Yolande, how's it going? Yolande is actually a member of the BIM After Dark community. Welcome to the live show. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you that don't know, I run a private community called BIM After Dark. You can check it out at community.bimafterdark.com. And I was going to wait till the end to tell you, but I am currently running a end of the year sort of discount, get members in towards 2020. So definitely check that out if you're interested. But we ask questions, do all kinds of really sweet stuff. And I have courses and whatnot. And actually, Yolanda, I think, asked this question in the community, and we haven't really fully answered it yet. So I'll do a little bit here. Unfortunately, what Yolanda is asking is, how do you get topography smooth? And so anyone who's familiar with or followed my content for a while knows one of my tricks that I use for topography. And actually, I think in the site creation episode, which if you want to see any of the past episodes, just head over to live.bimafterdark.com and check it out. I believe I show this trick. But you have a program called Auto Clicker, which again, I talk about this pretty in depth in that episode. But what I'll do is just quickly run it here. And the only way to smooth out topography, and again, I think Yolande is actually using it for exporting and using it in different software. Unfortunately, they're going to get faceted. They're not going to get pretty smooth. But the only way you're going to get something smooth is if you spend the time adding thousands and thousands and millions of points is really the honest truth. So, if I create a topo surface right now, and you can see I have auto clicker up. So I'm going to set this to 100 milliseconds. I'm going to hit F6. So I just hit F6 and it's auto clicking. And the tighter that these points are together, the smoother those lines are going to be, right? So you want these points to be really, really tight together. The other thing is, if I say that's 0 feet, if I say go to 10 feet and I do this, right? Revit is figuring out what it wants to be in between all of these, right? That's what each 1 foot contour is. So notice how it's kind of jagged. Revit's triangulating this. So if you really wanted something smooth, guess what? You are going to have to sit there and tell Revit what each foot, or maybe 2 feet, depending on how smooth, wants to be. And that right there will get, because you're basically, you're not letting Revit. So I'm just hitting F6 for my auto clicker, and I'm going to go like this. And so what I'm doing is I'm placing points for every foot contour, essentially. You could try 2, you could try 3, doesn't really matter. But what you'll notice, oops, just went a little nuts there. You'll notice that Revit now, it's kind of hard to see in here, but Revit's not trying to figure out what the triangulation is between them, okay? So really, what I'm trying to show you there is the only way to get smooth contours is to model each contour as smooth as possible. So hopefully that's helpful. And we can dig into that more on the community, Yolande. Wow, you guys are chatting up a storm. This is awesome. So many questions. Man, I forgot the first time I did this in episode 20, I did 2 that day, if you guys remember. One at this time and one at night. And I remember it was just nonstop questions the entire time for both episodes. So thank you guys so much. This is so cool. I'm gonna try and get as many as I can here. Let's see. Is there any way to rename workset 1 when enabling work sharing? I don't think you can, actually. Maybe someone out there knows, and I'm not even going to bother trying to do that live because I'd have to create worksets and do all that. But I do not think workset 1 and shared levels and grids, I don't think you can rename them. Hey, Aaron's here. What's up, Aaron? I just gave Aaron a nice shout out before with his previous/future phases, depending on how you want to look at it. That is an awesome tip for those of you that don't know. Check out the episodes with Aaron Mahler. I think it was either the template one, or I think it might have been the template one, but just go to live.bimafterdark.com and check it out. Yash asked the best way for Dynamo. So I think what you're assuming is the best way to learn Dynamo. First, check out all my videos here on the channel and at the blog at therevitKid.com. And also, if you really want to dig in, take advantage of the sale that I have going on for the community. And in that I have a full course called DIY Dynamo, which is the absolute best thing to jump in and get started in Dynamo. It'll get your feet wet and you'll be making scripts in no time. 16 real world examples, and I'm there to help you. So, yeah, Jose was just expanding on elevation schedules, etc. For doors and windows. And like I said, I think it's a huge discussion that we could literally spend an entire episode on it. So I'm gonna sort of shelf it, but it is a great discussion point that I think maybe I'll have Aaron come back on, because I know he's got plenty of opinions on this. So Aaron, chalk that down for 2021. Let's do a doors, windows, and curtain wall schedule and elevations episode. So Clive actually just suggested he uses an add-in called Backup Organizer, which puts all your backups in a subfolder. So check that out, Shamila, and hopefully that's helpful. I have never heard of that before, so I will not endorse it, but I trust you, Clive. So thanks for the suggestion. Jose, Robin, hey, thank you, Robin. Let's do a quick giveaway. Let's have some fun. Actually, you know what? Let's do a quick giveaway, because I think I finally got through Little Rock, Arizona. What's up? I think I rocked through some of the questions here. Sorry, I just want to make sure I don't miss anyone's important questions before we move on to do a giveaway. Anish, I'm so glad I cleared up your problem. So cool, yay! Seppo, love the episode. Awesome. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do real quick. Okay, let's have some fun. Let's do a quick giveaway. First giveaway is going to be a t-shirt. Those of you who may be familiar with my content over the years, this is one of my favorite design t-shirts that I have. If you want to buy it, it's actually available at shop.bimafterdark.com. But if you want a free one, we're going to have some fun right now. So it's not going to be this exact t-shirt. This is my t-shirt, but I will send you one. And let's do how well do you know the Revit kit? This will be kind of fun. So what I want you guys to do is the first person who answers in the chat correctly will get this t-shirt. Okay. And the question is, what is my middle name? And the reason I asked this, I think it's kind of funny, is you know, in most of my documents and stuff, you can see my middle initial, but some people may not know what that stands for. So I'm curious to see who knows this stuff. And I'm going to read some questions while you guys answer. So I'm having an issue with wall parts. After I create a cool facade and then add a window and modify the height, all my cool facade disappears. All right, sweet. My middle name, I think the answers is finally coming in. There's a little delay there. So Shamila said my middle name is Revit, and that is not true. My middle name is not Revit. The kid. I guess you're not 100% wrong if you say the Revit kid. I mean my actual middle name. Alfredo asked a question about, are you familiar with Archicad? If so, what are the pros and cons? I am familiar with it, but honestly, I haven't caught up to it in a while. Just haven't really paid attention too much to it, so I can't honestly say I'd compare the two. Maybe it'd be kind of fun to have someone like an Archicad guru come on the channel and we just talk about each and the differences, because I do know there's some great functions and features in Archicad that I would love to have in Revit. It's just I'm not knowledgeable enough to some people are trying to get there, trying to get close. So it's kind of funny. There's so much information about me out there, but I don't know if the middle name is one of them. So you guys are getting closer. Some of you who guessed with the letter starting with an A got closer. My name is Jeffrey A. Pinheiro, if you've seen any of my signatures. So keep guessing from there. How to terrain from Google Earth into Twinmotion and scatter. So Seppo just asked how to get terrain from Google Earth into Twinmotion. Not through Revit, I can tell you that. Your best bet is to try to utilize SketchUp. Has a way to bring in Google Earth with image. I'm assuming you're trying to get images. If you're trying to get all these A names, it's gonna be really funny to see when someone finally guesses an A name. But yeah, no, I've brought in Google Earth images into Twinmotion using SketchUp, just because it can map the Earth, and then you bring in the map. As far as the terrain is concerned, I guess it depends on what the terrain file is, if it's a ZML, XML, etc., etc. Robin, don't worry, no one has guessed it yet, so keep guessing. It's pretty funny. I wasn't sure what question to ask, but I actually didn't even Google to see if you guys can find that or not on the interwebs. But keep guessing, guys, and we'll see who gets it first. So I'm just rolling back to some questions here. JF asked, hey, in a door family, what axis rules if you want to achieve control? I think what you're saying there. So JF is asking how to control a door. I think you're trying to lock a door to the face or the axis of the wall type of thing. JF, maybe maybe re-ask the question a little bit, but I think what you're trying to say is how do you host a door or control a door within the center line / face or facade of the wall. Hey, wait a minute. I think someone guessed it, guys. Hold on. The first one was Dion Samuels. Looks like you were the first one to guess it. Congratulations, dude. So my middle name is Adam, Adam, and Dion Samuels. Got it, man. Wow, that's pretty funny. That was a fun one. So you're gonna get a free T-shirt. Shoot me an email, jeff@therevitKid.com. Let me know that you're Dion Samuels, who guessed my middle name. Let me know your size, your address, and I'll shoot it out to you. So cheers, dude. So awesome. It's really funny. Once I gave the A, I mean, literally every A name came out there. All right, cool. So yes, it's Adam. My son's name is also Adam. Middle name Jacob Adam, Jeffrey Adam. Sweet. Awesome. Okay, that was fun. Now let's keep asking some questions here. I see Yesh asked, while making ramps to fill the space between ground and ramp, is the sweep the only option? Interesting question. So when making a ramp, how to fill in the space below the ramp. All right, so I guess it depends on what your ramp is and the construction of it. So there's a couple things that you can mess with. So if I go into architecture, for those of you maybe who have never made a ramp, I might as well do this here. Go to architecture, go to ramp, and you can see there's two ramp types in here. Actually, I don't know why there's two ramp types in here, but you can set your base level and your top level. So the ramp is going from level 1 to level 2, which is probably a really long ramp at 1 to 12. So I'm actually just going to make it go level 1 to level 1 plus 4 feet. So we're just going to make a ramp that goes 4 feet, which is going to ask, as you can see here, it's going to let me go 30 feet because that's per code before you have a landing. And then I'll do another 18 feet, which will get me 48 inches, right? 1 to 12. So here's my ramp. If you wanted to change the default width, I could have. But now if I click finish and go in the 3D, there is that beautiful ramp. Wow, so much fun. So cool. So there's the ramp. So the question is, actually, let me toss in a floor so that you guys have a little better context in here, because I know how that is. And then I'm also going to add the 70-50-20 rule. Those of you who are not familiar with the 70-50-20 rule, check out another previous episode. BIM, I think it was making BIM sexier or something like that, but I don't remember the episode off the top of my head. Just head on over to live.bimafterdark.com. You'll see. But either way, the 70-50-20 rule is exactly what you're seeing here. You do turn on smooth lines with anti-aliasing, turn on shadows and ambient shadows, and then you change the sun, ambient, and shadow light settings to 70, 50, 20. Click apply, and all of a sudden Revit looks absolutely beautiful. Ta-da. Okay. I'm also going to change these hideous railings to pipe railings for now. I guess it's not that much better. Okay. So the question is, how do you fill in under here? And honestly, it depends, right? So if this is an exterior ramp and it's built, it's just built up, maybe you just want to do it, right? The truth of the matter is, odds are, even if it's an exterior ramp, and let me flip these so they're inside so you can see the wall edge. I actually think, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete the railing so that you guys can actually just see the damn ramp. All right, so I'm going to click wall. And right now I'm just going to pick, for fun, the edge. So I'm just drawing a wall like so. There's my wall. So odds are, in most situations, even in the exterior situation, I'm going to delete those. Actually, I'm going to host it to the exterior face. In an exterior situation, it's probably a ramp and a wall, and there's dirt and fill underneath it, right? I mean, I don't think it'd ever be built out as like a Jersey block or a Mafia block wall. So anyways, I'm going to do a pick line again. I'm just going to do finish face exterior and make the walls go in like this. Okay. Ta-da. There we go. I got some questions coming in there. So here's the kicker, right? If I click these guys and I try to attach or join, for some reason for some reason, Revit decided not to let you host, or Autodesk or somebody making Revit at some point in time decided not to let you join or host or attach a wall to a ramp. Why? I don't freaking know. I think it's insane and ridiculous, but it is what it is. So what you have to do here is you either have to modify the shape of the wall. So if I go to Edit Profile, I can pick this profile, TR on my keyboard for trim, and delete the line up here. Duh. And then this one I can just pull down and do that. And then this one I can say Edit Profile, pick. All right, and now you at least have, and you'd have to do it on the other side or mirror it, obviously. So let me do this. If you want to, you can pick and lock them. Not a huge fan of that, just because, locking things can be disastrous. So now I'm just going to type DM on my keyboard. I guess I'll go to level 1 first. I'm going to select them. I'm going to type DM on my keyboard or MM and mirror it. And then go to 3D, and there you go. You have it filled in, right? So there's one way. Okay. If you want, you can put reference planes and attach to the reference planes. The other way is, if you really want, you can use something that wall's attached to, like a roof, I guess. And I don't think wall's attached to a floor right now. You can use a roof, but I don't know if railings, because I haven't done it in a while. Do railings attach to roofs? Let's find out. So let's have some fun with this. I don't recall. And now with the roof tool, you have this cool little funky area here. And if I want to, I can draw a railing, see if it attaches. I don't remember anymore. There's been so many hosting changes these days. So the railing attaches to it, which is great. And then the wall attaches to it, which is great. So the nice thing about this is you could use a roof, call it a railing, do whatever you want with it. And I'll give Aaron credit again for this, because he's the master at using categories for wrong things. Because they're just so much better. And now I can say attach, and I can attach it to this guy, and look at that. Now not only is it attached, right, but whatever this roof does, to some extent, not if I drag it like an idiot here, whatever this roof does, if I move it down, and I'm disjoining it so everything's freaking out. So let's just do this. All right, if I change the slope of it, look at this. Right? Of course, there's downfalls, there's negatives. You won't have the up arrow and all that good stuff, but I mean, you get what I'm saying. So there's different options, but what's right for you may not be right for everyone else. But hopefully that's just helpful to give you another option when exploring that. But I would, in general, guys, and this goes back to the Coffered ceiling question, everything. In general, think twice before you do this. Think twice before you click component, model in place. Okay, all right. This should be, in my opinion, one of your very last options. Think about all the other ways to do something before you model in place. Okay, it's a good practice, and it'll make you a better Revit user as well as a better model creator, right? So who's Jeffrey Anton Pinheiro? I have no idea, Robin. Bezad, sorry if I butchered your name, asked, will you explain when multi-users work on a project at the same time? How can we have a backup from the central file? When you're working in a work shared file, there is a backup that's created. There's a backup folder. I would suggest, just because I don't have a sample to pull up right now and just go through the process, I would suggest just checking out the Autodesk help. There's a bunch of information on how to recover a backup file through the central file process. Not to mention, you do have local versions usually. Okay, so look for where your local versions of those files are copied, because sometimes if you can't restore the central, everyone should have a local version somewhere, and you can use those to restore it. So a little tip there. What size monitor do you recommend? Hey, Karen, we just had a conversation about monitors on the community as well. My absolute 100% favorite monitor, and you know what? Let's see. Do I have a logical cam? No, I don't have that open here. I was going to jump open to another camera, but I don't have it set up right now. Is a 27-inch 2K monitor. So the resolution is 2K, which is 1440 by 2460 or whatever it is. And then the size is 27 inch. That's what I've got right here working with me. That's what I've got in the office. That's by far, I feel like it's the perfect balance between not being too big but not being too small, and the 2K resolution is phenomenal. I'm using a ViewSonic right now, which I absolutely love. I've got 4 of them in different locations, and these are 27-inch 2K monitors. Absolute huge fan of those. Personally, I love having more resolution, but with 4K, you end up scaling up just to read things usually, and to me, I'd rather have it full scale. Perfect 2K gives you a little bit extra. We're good to go. Scoured X, what's up, buddy? Scoured has been here the entire time. I don't know your real name other than Scoured X, so nice to see you again. I probably know you too. I don't even know who that user is. I should probably reach out. Have you successfully used Civil 3D Topo within Revit? Or have you? Yeah, no, no. Scoured is asking, have I successfully used it in Revit, made it look nice, and actually utilized it for anything in Revit? And the honest truth is, not really. To some extent, you can use it, but it's depend. If it's a tin file, if it's a faceted file. I mean, it's just in my only successful use really is bringing in the contours from Civil 3D as just contours and recreating them as Revit. Topo. I hope there's people out there, and I know Autodesk has been working on the interoperability between Civil 3D and Revit, so Infer works the same way. So hopefully there's people out there, and if there are, let me know who have had great success working between the two. Shamila still thinks that Revit is my middle name. Well, Shamila, you're here in Connecticut, so maybe maybe I can get you a shirt too, just because I don't have to even ship it. Let's see. Any tips on projection lines? Any hopes it will ever work in Revit? I'm not really sure what you mean by projection lines. Are you talking about like zoning projection lines? Sorry, it's Siddhartha. Maybe elaborate on that a little bit for me. Oh, that's a cool one. We got a little existential question by Ayub. Thanks, Ayub. Where do you see BIM in the AEC industry in the next 10 years? Ooh, 10 years. Where's BIM? Who the hell knows? You'd like to think that, and this is coming from me, the Revit kid, but you'd like to think that there's a major player competing for Revit, for BIM, mainly because not because I want Revit to die, but because I want the competition helps bring up everyone else, right? When there's competition, you would try and strive to be better, and I feel like that would help. But me personally, working on both the architecture side and the construction side, I hope and I believe that in the next 10 years we will be moving away from paper-based delivery of buildings to a model-based delivery and construction of buildings. So you can talk about the prefab side of it, the fabrication on site and all that stuff, but what I think helps get us to that point. But in general, my goal and my hope is that the drafting of what we do is obsolete. And I know we don't have to go down the whole road of what that means and what that looks like, but I do believe and I hope that is the future, because I do think that and on the design side, I know there's a lot of architects that are going to be like, oh, well, that's what's our job then. I believe that we as architects offer way more than just drafting services to clients. So I do think that we can modify and move, but that is where I hope and see the industry going in 10 years. And I think BIM and products and what we're talking about today is what gets us to that point. We got real existential there. Let me roll back, make sure I didn't miss anything. Scoured uses afterward attach the wall to the ceiling. Scoured, I think you're talking about using ceilings for railings, which same idea, right? The ceiling, same idea, just using something that you can attach to, which is super helpful. I love people are making suggestions, which is awesome. John just made another suggestion, which is kind of cool if you need it, and maybe I'll just show it real quick because I do think that's a cool suggestion. And this is what I love about Revit. There's like 1,000 ways to do things. John was suggesting, well, if you want to use a wall, so maybe we use this wall or these walls, so I'll delete these ones. You can also make the wall the width of the ramp. So this wall right here is generic 8-inch. If I go to edit, duplicate, I'll say generic 36-inch. So I just duplicated it. I'll change the thickness of it to 36 inches or 3 feet or 1 meter, I guess. And now you've got yourself a nice thick old wall that goes along with it. And if you use the same method over here, then it would, actually I could just do this here. Then it would also follow, of course, this would have to be the thickness of it. But again, I don't know many construction details where that's how a ramp is built. I believe the wall section through this will probably have 2 walls in my experience, but that's pretty cool. So now you've got this solid mass that's going underneath it. Of course, you have to manage the thickness of the wall versus the ramp if it changes, but you guys get the idea, which is pretty awesome. Merry Christmas, Tom. What's up? Tom, better late than never. That's all right, man. Let's see. Can we detail a section and make it separate from the project because sometimes it makes problems? I don't know fully what you're saying there, Taha. Taha asked, can we detail a section and make it separate from the project? I think what you're trying to say is, can we draft a section so it's separate from the model, I think. And correct me if you're wrong saying that. And I would say no. I would say as absolute much as possible, use as much of the model as you can, even for your wall sections and details. In my opinion, a typical detail means it's something that does not, it's something that can be applied to any project accurately. Okay. So if you're cutting a section through your building because that floor to floor height is very specific, or that, there's something, guess what? That is a project specific thing. That is not typical. And the reason I'm getting a little fired up about this is I've been on many projects where that was the case, where somebody detailed or drafted a wall section and either literally moved all the drafting items away from the from the model, or just said, don't show the model in my view. And the model changed, right? Because let's be honest, designs change, buildings change, even late in the game, right? Well, guess what? No one turned on the model, no one checked against and we had claims. I mean, one jumps right into my mind as the architect on the job. I took over the job during CA. I had nothing to do with the construction documenting process, but the change was, it was a $250,000 change right there. And it was because we did not modify the wall section based on the model changes. Elevations looked great, floor plans looked great, everything looked great, but the wall section was never modified. And so the steel changes weren't picked up, the curtain wall changes weren't picked up, and it was right off the bat $250,000. Now you have to argue why your wall section was wrong, right? So as much as humanly possible, model as much as possible, but definitely, even if you're drafting pieces of it, make sure that your model's there and it stays on, okay? Don't turn off the model. Don't turn off the model. All right. Karen, I missed your question about Exonometrics, so please ask it one more time. I don't want to roll up to 11 minutes. I'll probably miss everything there. Yash asked about if I prefer Lumion, Enscape, or Twinmotion for exterior interiors. I have a ton of videos on this, so search the blog. But I will tell you right now, it depends on what you're doing, and that's going to be my answer all over the place. If all you're doing is a lot of Revit interior views and stuff, then the quickest, highest quality that you get to there is Enscape. If you're doing a lot of exterior views with very large scenes and maybe you have to turn things on and off in phasing, then Twinmotion's where it's at. If you're doing both, but you also need to do some animations and some moving, then and you don't have phasing and options into it, then Lumion may be your option. But either way, they're all great software. I have tons of information on them, so check it out. Scoured mentioned I should get in touch with Shoenome. I actually do know Shoenome from the long time ago. Him and I had some discussions there. I'm sorry, I just called him Shoenome, but and that's a great shout out there. I'll reach out and maybe we'll do an Archicad episode, which is pretty sweet. So JF, I think So we got some clarifications on questions here. On the projection lines, something like overhang, curtain pockets, ceilings. So I think what you're saying is, managing something like projection lines. So I will tell you that I do have a little tip that I think you can find way in the archive somewhere on the blog. But when it comes to projection lines, like maybe overhead, an overhanging roof, let's say, there are a couple tips that are helpful. My suggestion, just like before, is try to use the model lines as much as possible if they exist. So let's do a roof overhang real quick. So if I have a roof, and this is, we're just gonna make it a flat roof for the sake of argument. So the roof is at level 2, right? It doesn't show on the first floor. Here it is there, right? I'm gonna put a now there's a whole bunch of stuff on here, so let me I'm gonna try and make it so it's not too confusing for you guys. So I'm just gonna quickly draw, and then I call this one the overhead line trick, and so anyone who's taken any of my courses knows this one a little bit. So if I, and this is just one of those quirky things with Revit. So let's say this is my beautiful duck-looking building. Look at that bill. Whack, whack. So if anyone, I'm sorry, if you have this overhang and you want to show on the first floor, right? So if I go here, I want to see the overhang here as a dotted line showing overhead, right? That's just a typical architectural graphics thing. So there's a couple things that people will do. The first thing they'll do is they'll go to level 2. They'll go to annotate, detail lines. They'll click overhead. They'll do maybe a pick line. They'll take this guy, filter it out, or use PyRevit to use the selection thing, right? They'll copy it. They'll go to level 1, and then they'll modify, paste, align to current view. Ta-da, we got it, right? Problem is this is just a line now, right? This thing is not attached to anything. So if I go up to level 2, all right, and I move this, and I move this roof, guess what? I have to, right? Delete that. I have to go here, and I have to move or delete and redraw this, right? This has to move up with it. Okay, so by all means, by all means, what you want to do is you want to utilize the model whenever possible. So there's this really cool trick. If you change your underlay, so if you put level 2 as your underlay and click apply. So I'm in level 1 and I'm underlaying level 2. Well, there's this neat little thing with Revit where, these underlays are objects. Oops, I'm looking up, look down. Let's see, look up. Oh, maybe not. Did they make me a liar? Okay, maybe it changed in 2020. Look down. So what you could do then, let's you do it this way. This was going to be my second option, is you can look up, right? So now you're looking up at things, and what you can do is you can make the line weight of those show as a dotted line, for example. So either you do it in the object styles, or if I go under visibility graphics and I go to lines, there's one called beyond. For those that don't know, that's when you're beyond your view range, and we don't need to get into view ranges today. But here, you can change this to hidden. And now it's not working. All right. Well, we're going to skip that for right now. That's what happens when you do live demo, huh? If anyone knows why that doesn't work anymore, let me know. No, the underlaying isn't doing what I thought it would. All right, so we'll roll back to that question. Sorry about that. Who was that? I was asking JF maybe. Sorry, or Siddhartha. So JF just elaborated on his question, which is, in the door metric family template, should I use the wall core, line, or exterior? Oh, okay. So what JF is asking is when you're building a door. So if I or editing a door, I'll just edit a door for now. In the door family, if I go to edit family, if you go to the floor plan view of this, you know, what you're asking, JF, is I think you're asking what do you want to associate this door from? Do you want to use the face of the wall? Do you want to use the center line? And do you want to use the back face of the wall? It depends on your family and how you want to adjust it. It doesn't really make a difference. It's all preference. You're probably most safe using the center because, you know, depending on where the wall offsets from. But then again, if you have a brick door that has to be inset or offset based on a specific location, then you may want to do it from the face. The good thing about this is unless you start adding sweeps and doing weird stuff with your wall, the wall type doesn't really matter. You could put as many layers as you want in this, and it's always going to use the absolute outside face of the layer. So I don't know if that fully answered your question, but hopefully that was a little helpful there. Man, there's so many questions. Man, we're almost running out of time, and you guys are still drilling questions. This is so wild. I'm definitely gonna have to do more AMAs. I'm always a little nervous to do these because obviously this isn't the easiest thing in the world to do. but I do think that you guys enjoy them because I always get a ton of questions from them. So let me just. Clive was asking, are there any suggestions on isolating individual 3D objects for use in detailed drawing? Yeah, I mean, so this kind of goes without getting again too much into on the soapbox. I am a massive believer in using 3D views as much as possible. So I'm gonna open a file real quick, and while it's opening, I'll dig on here. Robin just said, I've never made two of the same details ever in my 20+ years. Yes, thank you. It is one of those things where we used to argue, myself and someone else at my previous employer, who were the BIM guys. We used to argue all day long about how the typical detail and cabinet details and cant strips and roof drawings, like these haven't been typical for like 15 years. We literally build them different in every single job. Why on earth are we keeping these in the set? It's just, it's insane. So I always question whenever someone asks me a question about Revit and typical details. I always question immediately what is your typical detail, and is it really typical? Wow, I'm getting lost here. Hold on, let me see. What do we got? Musa asked, how do you convert massing into material like concrete? Here, let me go back into this. I'm not sure if you're talking about changing it into a thick concrete, or if you're talking about changing it into like a concrete building. But just real quickly, what I'll do is I'll do a mass in place. So notice I'm doing a mass in place, not a component in place. So if I do test concrete, and I just make this, let's make a fun mass here. So if I take these splines, I'm just doing a spline with model lines. I'm going to copy them up a couple times. Oops, and I copy it one more time. So there we go there. So now we have these splines here. And I'll take these and I'm going to just adjust them a little bit to have some fun. So now if I just take these and I join them, create form, I've got this cool form. I have an episode with Tim Waldock from this year where he went through organic massing, which is really, really cool. And he talked about some of the pros and cons of this. So the actual mass itself, if you tab and select it, by default, again, it set itself to by category, which means if you exported this to Lumion or anything else, it would be a default form is the name of the material. But if you want, you can give it a material. So I can go in here and I can say, I want this to be concrete, even though it has no thickness. It's just a plane. You can do concrete precast. And now you can see we have concrete, right? Or if I want it to be a concrete wall, I can just click wall, and I can do a wall by face. And I'll use my foundation somewhere in here, retaining, sure. And now, check that thing out. Right, if I hide my mask, because if you see any other episodes about massing, you never want to delete it. If I hide it using EH, now I've got this wall that's made out of concrete. That's pretty funky wild, right? I can even put windows in it. Although Revit didn't seem happy about that for some reason. There we go. I can even put windows in it. And it's going to do its best to Frank Gehry these things in there and doors in it. So pretty neat. So I don't know if that answers your question, but anytime someone asks a question like that, it's an opportunity to make a really, really cool, funky form. All right. Oh, my pick underlay was turned off. Well, there we go. Thanks, Rick. My underlay elements are locked. My monitor is hold on, you guys are finally getting back to it. So all right, here we go. Let me roll back to that line work tool real quick, because thank you for that, dudes and dudettes who helped me out there. So this still works, which is phenomenal. So the reason I couldn't, what I'm doing is I'm pressing line work, and then you notice I see the above. I couldn't do it because there's the little checkbox down on the bottom here, and for those of you who haven't been able to check pinned objects or links, this is a great lesson learned for you. It's so easy to forget about these damn icons in the bottom right, especially when you're looking here and your monitor's all the way up there. But right now I have underlay right here. You can see it says select underlay elements. If I uncheck that right now, if I go to level 2, and I think if I look down, no, it's still not letting me do it. Oh, wait, there was. Yeah, now it's just freaking out on me. I don't know what's happening. So now I can select it, and I can override it and stuff like that. I don't know why Lineworks isn't working. I'm not really sure what's happening here. Well, look up. Let's try looking up. I know it works, but whatever. This is what happens when you do it live. Thank you, guys. Okay. You can change the cut plane to upper level and then do it. That's true. Yeah, you can jump up. You can jump up and do it down. How do you make 3D fixing details like Ikea? Okay, Ahmed, I got it, man. You just asked the question about 4 times, dude. I got it. So, real quickly, I will talk about 3D details. So, what I wanted to do, actually, let me real quickly off screen. I'm just gonna save as and hide some information on this project because there's an address on it and I don't want you guys to see it. I should have got rid of that before. All right, so we'll end up, this is a great place to end. I'm going to end with talking about 3D details and using them in drawings and all that good stuff. So I'm actually just really quickly, I'm just modifying the address on this sheet so you guys don't see it. Test. And then hopefully it doesn't pop up on any other ones. Awesome. Okay. So, as I mentioned, I am a huge fan of 3D details. So these ones down here, as I mentioned before, these are typical. Okay, these are actually drafted views that have been carried over many, many, many years from CAD to here. Because guess what? This detail, this thing, right? This is typical. The way you wrap, flashing and or house wrap is typical, right? And foundations too. I mean, this or insulation at the blocking. You know, these are kind of typical details. So I have these on all of them. But if I drop down to exterior elevations, for example, okay. Now, why? Tell me why. Why can't every job have an axon on a sheet, right? So that's what I'm showing here. You can see I have an axon of those those 3 elevations. Really, it's just a 3-view building, and so I'm showing an axon northwest, southwest, whatever. Okay, but then if I go to my sections and details, you can see there's a full building section, which is pretty cool. Most of this is modeled. I talked about that in previous episodes. But then, last but not least, if I go to this view, this is kind of what I think you're talking about, Ahmed, which are views like this, right? This is simple. It's just a small alteration to the kitchen. And there's, elevations, as you can see here. But why? Why can't we do this on our sets? Like, tell me why. There's no reason why we can't. And so creating this is super, super simple. Revit gives you a ton of tools to do it. The first one being a section box, right? So if I wanted to... my computer's just telling me it's going to restart if I don't click click delay. Click delay. Okay, so here's the area here. Revit makes it so stupid simple. I can just select all of this stuff, and I can hit right here where it says create section box. I can do this from scratch just using a 3D view, but if I hit create section box, right, now it made a section box around my object. I can clean this thing up. I can expand this if I wanted a little bit. I can push and pull this however I wanted to. Then I can just make a new 3D view out of it, right? I can say duplicate 3D view. I can call this one rename kitchen axon, whatever you want to call it. You know, organize it the way you want. And then what you can do is you can actually just save the orientation. So I save the orientation. I'm going to hide using EH on my keyboard, or you can just filter or whatever. You get the idea. I'm going to hide my section box. And then from here, guess what? I can do annotations because it's locked. Right? And then you throw this thing on a sheet and you have yourself a nice 3D axon. Like, tell me why on earth these can't be on drawings. My goodness. And then Ruben just said he thinks Ahmed is talking about displacement sets. Check out on my channel. I've got a huge video on how to create exploded axons if you look at it, or if you're searching for it. But yeah, and you could do the same thing here. If you really wanted to do an exploded axon, you would just take this, hit displacement set, and you can move this thing up. So look up displacement sets. If not, search my blog or this channel for, I call them exploded axonometrics. So check those out. Okay. Let's see here. Anything else? What do we got? How to make 3D fix in details. 2DETs. Awesome. You guys are great. So hopefully that was helpful. A couple things before we wrap this thing up. I want to do one more giveaway. This one's going to be fun. Yeah, maybe I don't know if I'll do another t-shirt or not. No, let's do this. So what I want is I'm going to give away. So for those of you, as I mentioned before, who aren't familiar, I do have a community website, a community platform, and you can find it at community.bimafterdark.com. And as I mentioned, for the rest of this year, for the rest of 2020, you can get 30% off a membership to this, which means you get all 4 courses. If I go into here, you can see I have 4 courses. I'm making another one right now. One on presentations, BIM can be sexy. One on making documentation, so construction documents, BIM can make paper. One on making families from scratch, which is BIM can make families, and then DIY Dynamo. Within the courses themselves, you have all of the content. You have sample files. You have an area to comment. You can see in the activity field, people ask questions. You can ask me questions. You can comment in lessons. It becomes a group, a horde of people learning at the same time. But there's also a network, and so you can ask questions on here. You can see Michael's asking about monitors. Tom's asking about a book and some issues on Dynamo. If I keep rolling down, Reggie's asking about adding dummy sheets. And then if you click into these, there's full conversations, etc. We do office hours as well. With the office hours, it's kind of like this, except you're on Zoom with me. So there's, if you see here, there's about anywhere from 3 to 7 people, and we're chatting for an hour about whatever it is that we want to talk about. We did 17 of those this year, or 16 of those. But anyways, so right now, if you head over to community.bimafterdark.com, it's 30% off until the end of 2020. But what I want to do is I want to offer you guys the possibility of getting a 1-year membership for free. And so the way that you are going to apply is when this video is done being live, you'll be able to add comments here on YouTube. What I want you to do is in the comments on YouTube, I want you to tell me what you're most excited about learning in Revit next year. Okay, so make one comment, just say, I'm excited to learn this, this, and this in Revit. What I'm gonna do is just use a random comment generator thing, and I'm gonna pull one of your names randomly, and hopefully I can find you using your YouTube usernames. All right. And I will add any links to the description afterwards. I'll actually add a link to the community right now, so you guys can check it out. Community.bimafterdark.com. Hopefully I typed that right. And so that's how you guys are going. Let me put on my I don't know my Santa hat when I dropped it. So once this is done being live, you'll be able to add comments here on YouTube, and I want you to comment underneath this video once it's done, once it's out there in the world. So once I click end stream, and I want you to say what it is that you're most excited to learn in Revit in 2021. Okay. And real quickly, Ahmed just asked, in your videos on how to make BIM sexy, will you show us furniture details you've been doing for IKEA? I don't know if I show furniture details, but I show some ways that you can create those IKEA type of diagrams. There's a lot of diagram videos and stuff like that. And that's also a great question within the community that adds more content. The other thing that's really nice about this is those are 4 full-length courses, and I add content to them. For example, I added an entire chapter on Twinmotion because, you know, it was new and I wanted to teach it. So, and then the Dynamo class is also phenomenal. Tons of users have gone through it over the years. But all that being said, make sure you guys comment below after this. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. I will not be live next week. The following week will be the first one of 2021, but I will be publishing some pre-recorded videos, so definitely check out the channel and check out the blog at therevitkid.com. I want to thank everyone for joining me today and this year. You guys are amazing. Stay healthy. Have a great holidays with you and your families. Feel free to reach out. You can reach me at the Revit Kid on Twitter or therevitkid.com, bimafterdark.com. You know all the ways to get a hold of me. I love you guys. You're amazing. And yeah, thank you so much. Hope to see you all next year, and have a lovely, lovely new year.